The French filmmaker Luc Jacquet won an Oscar in 2005 for his documentary March of the Penguins. And 18 years later, he showed his latest film at Locarno, Antarctica Calling. But on the night of the screening, the event was briefly halted by climate change activists, who he had the chance to meet and talk with on the street afterwards. Luc, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Our pleasure. So, look, Antarctica Calling, it's a very beautiful film, and it's clearly a film made with love and respect for our planet. But aside from, a couple of moments, such as you walking through a dead forest, any message about our changing planet is quite subtle. Do you consider it to be a film about climate challenges facing us?
Not at all. Not at all, because, but it's a will at the beginning, because on the past years, I did a lot of film more, I would say, engaged, politically speaking, about the scientists who had discovered the climate change or about the deforestation. And I did bunch of pedagogical programs and whatever. I participate to with a lot of talk and conference. And at the end, what you can have left, I'm not sure that this is very efficient, unfortunately. Now, the challenge for me is go maybe back to the roots, means the beauty of the world, how you can be amazed by the power of the nature. Means also go back to the starting point, because where do we come from? We are coming from to the nature. And in this world where, for me, there is like a huge disturbance in the relationship between man and nature, maybe we have to go back for the roots again. What is the beauty? What is my situation in front of the nature? What is the power of the nature? How can I feel weak in the hugeness of the elements, for example? Because we don't have a real solution, unfortunately, today to move the society to something better for the future and better for the new generation. So for me, it was, yes, back to the poetry, back to the travel, back to the wonder of the nature. And after that, we talk. And after 2 days in the festival, I'm quite very surprised about the fact that all the journalists talk me about the climate change issues. And of course, maybe it was the best way to do that, because this is a starting point. Okay, we are talking about the nature. Now we can talk about what is the challenge now to deal with the nature.
I mean, the screen yesterday was actually interrupted at the start by some climate protesters. Did you have an opportunity to talk to them?
Yes, after the moment, I would say after the screening, I met them by chance on the street, and it was very interesting because we shared a lot of things, and I expressed my doubt about their action. I'm very in empathy with them about what they are looking for, and but I'm not sure that the hardest solution, the hardest, even the almost violence, is the best way. But in the same time, for me, this is like an epiphenomena about what we could be worried about, because of course they are worried. This generation, I have 4 children. This new generation is very worried about the future. And in the same times, it seems that there is no political answer to their questions. And for me, there is a huge danger to not to consider what they are looking for and what they are asking, until we will not have decent political response to a new society. We will live with the risk of that people get more and more radical.
Yeah.
Because in the same times, they have the legitimacy to say that. So in the same time, I was not surprised yesterday evening, and but it was cool to talk with them afterwards. And I was just worried about the children on the screen who prepared the thing, and I said to them, why didn't ask me on the steps before the steps? it would be a pleasure for me to share a moment with you because, of course, I understand what you are looking for and what you are asking for.
I mean, it's quite hard to imagine a political solution at this point, if not
so far,
impossible.
we are living in a democracy. And so far, we can vote. And so far, if we are not agree with the system, we can engage ourselves in the political life. But this is a wise answer. But I think when you're at a certain level, when you are so upset that you have the feeling that you can have no solution, no wise solution. So you try, this is the beginning of the terrorism.
Yeah.
And I'm very worried about that. Because still we stay in the frame of the civilization. It's okay, we can discuss. But on many subjects now, you can see that this is very difficult to talk together. Man and woman, ecologists and hunters, for example. There is so many antagonism in this society. And for me, the more important is to find the field where we can talk together again, decently, with attention. And my answer is an artistic answer for that. Go back to the emotion.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know how many people were there yesterday evening, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And it was a good starting point to talk together because we shared all together a moment. It was maybe the opportunity to talk about something.
Yeah, the universality of the beauty of the planet, I guess, is one thing that we can all kind of come together on. I guess the question is how you move on from the awe and the splendor into a more dynamic conversation.
Yes, in a way, it could be a very naive answer. Go back to the nature. But do you have a better solution? I tried many solutions. I'm sure that working hand in hand with the scientists is something important. Help them to communicate. They know how to communicate together, scientific to scientific. But the knowledge is maybe harder to go back to a wider society. So this is something very crucial.
I mean, I also actually think that quite a lot of the information has been spread quite successfully. Yeah. By lots of filmmakers, lots of writers, lots of journalists. Right. It's, I think that probably the next step is actually just explaining to people, okay, well, from A to Z, here are the things that might happen to you, and here are all the practical things that you can do. And lots of people won't like it, but a small number of people might listen, and that.
Yes, I have no discontinuity in my relationship with the nature because my generation is in between. My children now are concerned by that. But when I start to be an adult, for me, the idea of the progress was something endless. We are raised in this idea about the society, the happiness, everything are going to be a slope like that. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And I'm old enough now to know that. But I feel I feel to have a legitimacy to stay in the planet. I have no problem to be who I am, wherever I am. And I think this is very different for the new generation.
The film is somewhat elegiac. Does it feel like a farewell from you to Antarctica, or not? Have I got that wrong?
No. Yes, there is a kind of nostalgia, because it's a matter of age. It's a matter of this region is something very important for me, because I was built with the need of these places in the world. This is my garden, if I may say, and there is also a very strong nostalgia about the world, the natural world I'm talking about is going to be smaller and smaller. And as I say in the film, do we still have places for dreamers, for people who are liking the big spaces, the big wide in general. And I feel that the feeling of a landscape is not something valuable in terms of economy, but for the soul, but for the people, but for the cultural aspect is something huge, because the landscape is something where you are growing in. And if you remove this, the relationship of the landscape, the places where you are coming from, there is for me like a break in your cultural line. I really now push to give at least a cultural value to the feeling of the nature, to the landscapes. Now, just an example, now if you get out from a city, you are driving for sometimes minutes or hours in very ugly places, because we don't care about now the nature of the building, we don't care about the beauty of the worlds. Means that in our day-to-day life, we are swimming in an ugly world. And for me, there is an impact in the soul of the people. It's not obvious at the beginning, but day after day, for me, we are using ourselves to live in an ugly world. And for me, the humankind at least, need the feeling of the highness, the feeling of the beauty, the feeling of being
sublime,
someone.
yeah.
Yes, the sublime. You're right.
And over the decades that you've been going there, how much have you seen the landscape change?
It's always tricky to say, because I was scientist, and I know that you need the long-term study to understand what's happened. And I 100% trust about the IPCC report, and I have a lot of connection with friends who are researchers, and they say we see something, and we document something, and we prove something, and I trust them. But maybe a small anecdote. Last time I was in Adeliland for shooting, I experienced the first time the rain. For me, in Antarctica, there is no rain. You have only snowfalls. And this is nothing rain. This is only rain. But in Antarctica, the Adelie penguins, for example, their cheeks their feathers are not waterproof. So if it's raining, they are dying from cold, because they don't know how to deal with this. And 1 year, 100% of the chicks, Adelie penguin chicks, die because of the rain. This is only the rain. Just to prove that the changing is not very spectacular. We are not talking about Armageddon coming back and crashing everything. We are only talking about a few drops of water. This is what we are talking about the climate disturbance.
That's very affecting. Yeah, I did actually want to just talk about a bit more of some of the creative decisions. You make a couple of kind of quite loud creative choices. You go into color a couple of moments. You reverse the film a couple of times. What are you trying to get at with those moments?
For me, I would like to make a film more in aesthetic and poetic way than a describing way. We have a lot of documentaries about Antarctica. If you want to see the color of penguins, you just go to YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and you have plenty of things. But for me, this trip is very personal. And we are talking about the cinema language. And for me, the idea was to share the emotion I can be able to feel when I'm there, and try to use as much as possible the language of the cinema to share this emotion. And for me, going to the black and white was a way to say, don't look the front image, go into the image to feel the beauty, to feel the emotion, to feel the sound, etc., etc. So the impression of the film was more important than the straight description of what we were talking about.
When did the idea for the film come about?
It was 2 years ago, and someone asked me to make a trip in Antarctica, and I say yes. And I say, but why I do answer so fast. I went there several times and I'm always ready to go again and again and again. What does it mean? And I discovered that it was like the 30th anniversary of my first start to Antarctica. I say, during 30 years, I'm still upset by the same place in the world. And I'm, naturally speaking, I'm very curious about all the natural world and all the world, but I'm upset about Antarctica. But all the people who had the chance to stay one day, a single day in Antarctica, have the will to come back again. In English, I guess you call it Antarctic bite, la morsure de l'Antarctique. And we share, all the guys, from the very beginning of the Antarctic discovery and expedition till now, you have this strange virus shared by all the people.
What is it? Is it about staring off the edge of the world, or is it about being at the door of heaven? I don't.
For me, the answer is in the film. It is the film itself, because I think that the world are useless to try to explain this feeling. Of course, you have the power of the beauty. Of course, you have the power of the removedness. Of course, you have the power of the element. You are far away. You have also the feeling that you can feel in the space. I don't remember the name at that moment, but yes, the overview effect. When you are in Antarctica, you have the feeling to be above the world and be able to think all the world. This is a strange feeling, but it gives you a certain point of view, like a very strong empathy with the planet. So, yes, this is all this stuff together. And of course, the human relationship in Antarctica are absolutely different than in the rest of the world, because you need the solidarity. You need the group to stay alive. You can do nothing by yourself. And you feel so weak when you're in Antarctica. When you're in the middle of nowhere, you are nothing, purely nothing. And in the same time, you are nothing in a huge beauty. And it gives you a very strong personal experience about your own places in the world. I would say nothing, but not really nothing. You have to deal with this.
Do you miss it when you're not there?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, there's a line in the film where you say it's very hard to feel at peace once you've been there.
Yes, because if we can only talk about the connection with the penguins, the emperor penguins, the more I go, the more I feel lucky to be able to stay in peace side to side with an animal. It's impossible elsewhere in the world. And in Antarctica, you can make several steps with the penguins. Afterward, you say, okay, bye-bye. He continues his life and you continue your life. But the several minutes or seconds spent together are priceless, because it's so peaceful. It's so, and it drives you to think it's possible in a way. We are not by fate obliged to be enemy. You are not obliged to be prey and hunters. And Antarctica for me is a very interesting school about our own places in the nature.
Do you have an emotional relationship with the penguins at this point? What do you think they represent for you in life?
Now, they are birds, basically. Sure. So I would say only birds. Okay. But of course, they have like they occupied a huge space in my own history, because through them, my life absolutely changed 100% from what it was expected when I did my studies. But now I'm amazed. It's always hard to describe that, but I'm really amazed by their charisma and by their beauty. And again, it's so far to go there. It's not if you were able to go when you want, you know that each trip there is a privilege. Each trip there is painful to finance. It's a lot of time spending to do nothing in a boat, in a plane, in a helicopter, in whatever. But I don't know how many months I spent doing nothing, just traveling from a place to another to go in Antarctica, waiting the good weather. And so this is the cost. But at the end of that, the emotion is huge.
What I know that you have said that, you know, you don't have any particular answers about the climate. Nobody does. But for, you know, young filmmakers, young documentarians out there who would undoubtedly look up to you on the matter, what would you suggest would be the best response that filmmakers can have to the crisis? Is it stop making films and just become a politician?
No, if your destiny or if your own skill is to make film, let's make film. If your skills are to make politics, let's make politics. I think if everybody in this planet would respond with their own talents, with their own skills, I think the world would be better, probably. But I don't know if the school is ready to to drive the people to their own very peculiar talents, but their own peculiar skills. But no, really, it's a matter of it's useless to make film if you are not made to be a filmmaker.
Sure.
And but if everybody follows his path with the conviction that he has to go there, this is, for me, the good beginning. I was very impressed. It was a bit frustrating yesterday to spend time with the kids here, because I was very surprised about the heaviness of the topics they would consider to make their new film.
Yeah.
It was very heavy. It was not about writing stories between, I don't know, love or adventure, of climbing mountains. No. It was the relationship between the genders. It was the relationship between the climate change. How is going to be our future? Wow, guys, you are 14. Play, enjoy. And they did not. And I'm very concerned by that. My children's carry something very heavy. Our children are carrying something very heavy. And the less that we can do is to give them hope, to give them the desire of simple life. We have to give them the desire, same, to play, to be light, and in the same time to be responsible. And the less we can do is probably to inspire them. But inspiring a generation means that you have to be exemplar. And this is very difficult to be exemplar. Of course, we cannot to be 100% exemplar, but at least, yes, we have to give them hope and the tools maybe to find their own way to express what they feel.
I mean, I guess my last, question would be that, tragically, perhaps these very serious 14-year-olds are making logically the right choice by not dreaming and just by being kind of focused purely on the issue, because the problems are not going to go away.
There is no way to escape. We have to face the problem. We have to just a step. But for example, the people we are believing that we can have an option to go on the moon or on Mars, for example, I'm suggest that they would come for several days in Antarctica, in the middle of the South Pole, just to experience what does it mean to stay in the middle of nowhere by minus 90 degrees, 100 kilometers per hour of wind. And they are going to experience just nothing compared to Mars condition or to the moon condition. So we have no option. So for me, we have to solve the problem by ourselves, because ourselves, I mean the humankind, are the only concern by the problems. The nature by itself doesn't care about the human. So now the idea is to find a solution. But in the same way, it doesn't mean that we don't have the right to enjoy. to enjoy the life, to enjoy the places, we have the right to travel. We have the right to stay in the nature. We have the right to eat. We have the right to drink water and whatever. And for me, this is something very important. We have the legitimacy to stay in this planet because we are part of this planet. So, of course, heavy topics, but at the same time, we really have to enjoy our life.
Good. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.